Hey ninjas, how's it going? Tim here. This is Company Update November 2019. Couple of quick shout outs. For sales team, first of all, fantastic results in October. I know sales team gets a lot of shout outs, but in October, they really smashed it. So well done all the new and very dependable sales ninjas, and to Ali, their new leader, for a fantastic October. Sales keeps the ninja machine going, as does retention. And on that note, PM team and of course the campaign ninjas, SEO, CM and PPC ninjas have done a fantastic job of retention in October as well. Really good solid month, so congrats there. Another quick case study, this time for everyone in the entire company. Another quick case study. Oh gosh, you can tell it's been a long day. Another update for this time the entire company is we don't often shout about successes at Exposure Ninja as much as we could do. I spent a bit of time in October looking at case studies and thinking, why don't we have more case studies on our website? Why don't we have more case studies in our proposal? So I set myself a day to go through all of our different campaigns and pick out some great case studies. Anyway, I got nowhere near it in a day because we stopped at about, I think, 48 case studies, identified 48 different campaigns that we were going to write case studies on. And the teams are going through and writing these up to go on the website and to go in our presentations and all of that. The takeaway from this obviously is that we do so much good work at Exposure Ninja. And I know that being really feedback focused and we're always driving for perfection in client campaigns. And in order to do that, we often have to focus on, what went wrong. And particularly a lot of my time is spent on fixing things. And I think that can give a rather one-sided view of what we're actually doing. So we are doing some amazing work for businesses that really need it and getting some fantastic results. So if you've been involved in one of the campaigns that we're going to be writing up as a case study, I hope you give yourself a pat on the back, because that's really what energizes the company and that's what keeps us going. So yeah, anytime you're making a case study, you are a superb person. Cool. I've got some feedback from KPIs. So what we do is collect all the feedback from KPIs, and then we go through it and we work on, okay, what are the suggestions here? What are the suggestions that have come up more than once? And what can we do about each one? So I've got some feedback about them. One of the things that came up a few times was that people don't really understand the financial side of Exposure Ninja. And I can completely understand this, particularly if you're a campaign ninja and you see that maybe we might be charging clients, say, £55 an hour, and you might look at that and think, well, I'm not getting paid £55 an hour, so what's going on here? Like, come on, ninjas. So what I wanted to do is I've done a quick calculation to work out what happens when Exposure Ninja gets £100. Like, where does that money actually go? So here's how the breakdown works. It's important to remember, of course, that when we do an hour of client billable work, a lot of work goes into even getting that client into a situation where we're ready to do some billable work. And then, of course, there's an entire infrastructure around it which enables that hour to be worked. So let's say that Ian takes £100, to use a nice round number. Where does that money go? Well, £5 of it goes on PPC ads to generate leads for Exposure Ninja. £7 goes on commissions and bonuses across the sales team and across the whole of EN for things like upsells and retention bonuses and that type of stuff. £3.40 goes on the team responsible for our own marketing. Obviously important to get more leads, more clients. £5.50 goes on software, hosting and domains. £7.80 of that 100 goes on pensions, insurance and tax. Fun. Which means £67 goes on actually working the campaign and the support, HR, finance and management structure required in order to do that. Which leaves £4.30, which is the amount, using these example numbers. And by the way, I took September's numbers because they're the last complete month that we have, which leaves £4.30, which stays in the EN account, which we either we use to invest in stuff or like more ads, or we just keep for a rainy day in case, Google shuts down all of a sudden and we need to pay some people when we don't have any clients. So that's I mean, that's based on September's numbers. Now, September's numbers are pretty bad. Our profit margin is normally a bit higher than that, but that's just an indication. So normally, Exposure Ninja is working at, say, 10 to 15% profit margin. Now, our goal is actually 30%. The reason that we're targeting a 30% profit margin is because that gives us a nice cushion to make us more stable. As the company grows, it's nice to have a good amount of money in the bank so that, you know, worst case scenarios, something terrible happens to Google, we lose 80% of our clients in a month. It's nice to have a bit of a kind of base there. Call me pessimistic. I just like to know that there's security there, that we can pay people's wages if the worst happens. So some of it is about, you know, making sure that we're able to do that. Some of it is allowing us to invest in new things like building tools or working on new services or doing more of our own marketing or going to a trade show or stuff like that. So that's the reason why we're why we like to have a profit margin. So I hope that proves to be useful. I hope that kind of makes sense, just to show you that it's not it's not as simple as if we were just one freelancer and, you know, we charge a client X amount and then all of that goes into a profit account. It's really not like that. It turns out that running a company is a fairly expensive thing to do. So other KPI feedback that we had from people. So some people were asking about work breaks and paid work breaks. So just to be completely clear on work breaks. So work breaks are really important. And I know that, you know, I know firsthand when you work from home or and you might have Slack on your mobile, which I know we're not supposed to do, I do, but we're not supposed to do it. Then the temptation can be to just always be on, particularly if you've always got people pinging you. So if you check the Ninja Handbook, we're actually really keen on work breaks, and it's completely okay to take work breaks. And also it's completely okay to work with Slack off during your work breaks. To have Slack off during your work breaks, so that they are actually proper breaks. It's a really good idea to make, particularly like a half-hour lunch break or whatever, if you actually have that away from any screens, so you're not kind of on. I think that's a good thing to do. I used to go and sprint outside. I found that quite good. So work breaks are really important, and we don't want you to feel like you're kind of chained to a desk, unable to leave. I know that's the potential danger of having, you know, an always on kind of thing, but it's really important that we take those breaks. One kind of piece of feedback was laptops, and can Exposure Ninja provide laptops for everyone? It's a really good question, and it's something that we've discussed a lot over the years. So we have Tech Scheme, which allows you to buy laptop through the company, and, you know, you can spread the cost and you don't have to pay tax on that. So that's as close as we're going to get at the moment. The main reason that we're not able, there's a whole bunch of reasons that we're not able to provide laptops across the entire company. I mean, firstly, if you just kind of do the maths on what that would look like, you know, the £4.30 out of the 100, we can't buy 100 laptops with, unfortunately. So that's one thing. The logistical nightmare of managing and providing tech support on all these laptops would be beyond comprehension. And then, of course, because they'd be company property, we'd need to kind of take them back if you didn't work with Exposure Ninja or whatever, and it's just a total mess. So it's not something that we're able to do. I guess it's a bit of a trade-off. If you're working in an office, and, you know, you had to commute every day and you had to just always be there, then we could kind of have a machine in the office that you could use. But I guess it's just part of the trade-off of kind of having the kind of remote thing going on. Another thing worth mentioning is anything that we do for one person, it's really important that we're fair and we do it across the whole company. So, you know, even if you've been at EN for years and years and years, we don't do it, because if we do it for one person, we have to be fair to everyone. So it's a kind of all or nothing thing, really. Another piece of feedback was about training. So some people asked if there could be more kind of tailored training available for them based on what they need to learn to develop into either the next level of seniority or another role inside Exposure Ninja. This is a really good piece of feedback. We're working on a kind of development structure, so people can always see what the next kind of step is for them and where they can go from where they are now. And we have a wealth of training available. Not all of it is kind of, not all of it you'll know about. So we have like management training. We've got a lot of productivity training, and we're bringing in more kind of motivational training and things about, how to maximize your time when you're working remotely and that type of thing as well. So that's something that we're working on, and we're reviewing that at the moment. We're also planning a KPI overhaul. So looking at the KPI process, how can we have company goals, company visions and stuff that kind of cascade down to individual goals, and making sure they're really actionable and that you have full control over your KPIs as well. So that's something that we're working on before Christmas. We're also conducting a pay review. So each year we analyze company pay against comparable other companies' pay. So obviously there are differences between what EN pays and what you might get, say, if you're in a central London agency and you're having to, commute every day and all that type of stuff, because the numbers that they're charging and all that stuff is completely different as well. So we review our pay based on comparable companies, and we're going through that process now as well. I think we're also looking at a single pay structure and figuring out if we can make that work, because at the moment, as you'll know, there are different pay calculators for each different department, and when one gets adjusted, we don't always just adjust the other ones, because it's like this, we have some feedback about something and that one gets changed, but this one doesn't get changed. So we're trying to work out if it's possible to have one single pay structure for the whole company and then have criteria for each pay grade. Again, just to make it really fair, we're really focused on fairness and being equal with how we treat everyone across the entire company. So any kind of pay adjustment, particularly if it's a big structural thing like this, needs to be really well thought through to make sure there's no gaps and to make sure that everyone's happy with it. So it's not a simple thing, but we're doing it now, and we hope to have that complete by Christmas. What else have we got? So that one's done. Progression, lots of roles, yeah. Redoing all contracts and freelance agreements to improve sick pay terms is one thing that we're also doing. And then we've got two more kind of updates. So one is admin. We know that there's loads of admin involved in a lot of roles in Exposure Ninja, and sometimes you're filling in sheets and then there's another sheet over here and there's another sheet over here, and it can be quite admin heavy. We're completely conscious of this. We've already stripped out a whole bunch of spreadsheets this month already, and we're looking at how many more we can remove. This also ties into something around our Magic Service principle. So Magic Service is the 3 principles that guide Exposure Ninja's customer service. They are transparency, 10, so replying to emails within 10 minutes and phone calls and live chat within 10 seconds. And then the third thing is tell us once. So the concept of tell us once is if we ask a client a question, their answer is then known by all of the ninjas. So it's having a central place where we have all of the knowledge about our clients. And it means that we don't have to ask clients the same question multiple times from different people. You ask a question and you get an answer, and then another ninja talks to that client and gets a completely, trying to synchronize all of that. So we've got one central storage place to work from. So this is a huge thing, because potentially it could replace a whole bunch of the spreadsheets, potentially even teamwork. Email communication will go through there as well. We're going to try and get calls in there as well. So the goal is that it's like a central hub for all of Exposure Ninja. We don't yet know if it's completely possible, but we're going to do everything that we can to do it, because it would also simplify a load of admin as well. So this is a fairly big thing. We've got some very bright people looking at different CRMs and seeing what we can use and what integrates with what and how all our processes are going to work. So yeah, it's a big chunk, but we're gonna be looking at how we can get that implemented as soon as possible. We've got a good short list of some CRMs to test, and hoping that it works out, because that'll be big and that'll be really cool as well. It would mean that you could go into one place and see all the info that you needed about the client. You could see who's working on them, which actions they have planned, and all that stuff as well. So that is the November company update. Whoosh! Thank you all for your work in October, and let's have a really good end of the year. Looking forward to talking to you all soon. Take care. Love you. Bye.